Sister tried to make my life hell, so I got the ultimate revenge. You know that feeling when you just can't catch a break no matter what you do? Like, the world just seems to have it out for you and there's nothing you can do about it? Well, that was me. For as long as I could remember, my sister had been making my life a living nightmare. I'm talking about those little things, picking on me, stealing my stuff, always getting the better treatment from our parents, until it became obvious that she was out to get me. At first, I thought it was just sibling rivalry. You know, the usual annoying comments, the petty pranks, the it's not fair moments that every older sibling thinks they can get away with. But as we grew up, things started to change. It wasn't just about stealing my favorite hoodie anymore or hogging the bathroom. It was deeper. She was manipulating everyone around us to make me look like the bad guy, to the point where even our parents started siding with her. I didn't want to admit it, but it was clear. She had a gift for twisting things around, making me look like the villain in every situation while she played the role of the innocent, misunderstood angel. I was frustrated, confused, and honestly, a little lost. How did things get so messed up? I was just trying to live my life, but she seemed to have it out for me from day one. But then, something happened. Something I never expected. One evening, after a particularly vicious argument over something stupid, I overheard a conversation that completely changed my perspective. It wasn't between my sister and one of her friends, like usual. This time, it was between my sister and our mother. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but the door was slightly open and I couldn't help but catch a few words. "She's too nice, Mom. I know she won't fight back. It'll be easy to ruin her life, and once I do, everything will be mine." I froze. Those words hit me like a ton of bricks. It was the ultimate betrayal. She wasn't just messing with me for fun. She had been plotting against me all along. My sister, someone I thought I could trust, was willing to tear down everything I had just to get ahead. That was the moment I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. The realization hit me hard. She had underestimated me. She thought I was weak, but I had a secret weapon of my own. My ability to plan, to think ahead, to be strategic. I wasn't going to sit back and let her destroy my life. No, this time, I was going to make sure she regretted underestimating me. I always felt like the shadow in my own family. My sister was the star. She was the one who got the attention, the praise, and the affection. It didn't matter how hard I tried or how much I did. She was the one everyone noticed. If I did something good, it was expected. But if she did anything, it was like she had conquered the world, the golden child, the perfect one. It was maddening. But I tried to convince myself that I was just being overdramatic. Everyone told me I was. But deep down, I could feel it. There were these subtle differences in the way we were treated. Every time I asked for help, I was met with indifference or irritation, while my sister could do no wrong. If I made a mistake, it was magnified, scrutinized, and often held over my head for years. If she made a mistake, it was brushed off, forgotten as if it never happened. I remember this one instance when I was about 14. It was Christmas, and we were both expecting presents. I had been working hard on my grades and had saved up my money to buy a special gift for our parents, something thoughtful. I thought it would be the moment where I finally got some recognition, something that would make them realize that I was trying too. But when we sat around the tree, my sister got this big, shiny necklace, something I knew cost a lot of money, while I got a sweater. Not even a cute one. It was the kind of sweater your grandmother would buy you for the holidays because she thought it looked nice, but didn't really care about your taste. I wasn't upset about the gift itself. I was upset because I felt invisible. Every gift, every compliment, every moment of recognition seemed to be reserved for her. It wasn't fair, but that was just how things were. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. Maybe they just liked her more. Maybe I was too sensitive. But the years went on and things got worse. By the time we were both in our early 20s, she had already secured a good job, a well-paying one too, the kind of job that she loved to talk about at every family gathering. Meanwhile, I was still working in a small cafe trying to pay my bills. I didn't have the luxury of a perfect resume like she did. Every time I tried to make something of myself, It felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. The final straw came when I decided to apply for an internship that could really help me launch my career. It was the perfect opportunity, everything I had been working for, all my hard work leading up to this moment. I had even asked her for advice, trying to be open and honest about how much I needed this. She seemed supportive at first, telling me I could totally do it. But when I found out she had secretly recommended one of her friends for the same position, I was crushed. It wasn't just a slap in the face. It was a betrayal. This wasn't just casual competition anymore. This was personal. She had gone out of her way to make sure that not only was I never going to get ahead, but I'd be left in the dust while she coasted on her connections. The same sister who told me she wanted to help me get ahead had stabbed me in the back the first chance she got. That's when I knew I was done playing by her rules. She had crossed a line, and I was no longer going to sit back and let her treat me like a doormat. I'd had enough of being the invisible one. I didn't care if she was family. I wasn't going to let her destroy my chances anymore. It was time to fight back, but I had to do it smart. She'd gotten away with too much for too long, and it was time to turn the tables. But how? That's when I realized I had something she didn't: patience, smarts, and a plan. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I needed to outsmart her. Revenge wasn't going to come in a big dramatic moment. It had to be calculated. I wasn't going to do something reckless and let her think she had one up on me. No, I needed to make sure every step was planned, every detail perfect. And most importantly, she needed to have no idea what was coming. So I started small, watching her every move. At first, it felt weird, like I was stalking her, but I knew it was the only way to gather the information I needed. I paid attention to everything she did, every conversation she had. I needed to know what made her tick, what she wanted, what she feared. I needed to get inside her head to understand how she operated. After all, what better way to destroy someone than to exploit their own weaknesses? I began with her job. She'd always talked about how she worked her way up the corporate ladder, how she was constantly getting new promotions and impressing all the higher-ups. She had this image of being the perfect employee, the one everyone trusted. But, like with everything else in her life, I couldn't help but notice cracks in the facade. One evening, I overheard her on the phone with one of her colleagues. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I heard her say something that caught my attention. "I can't believe they still trust me with the promotion. I barely did any work on that project, but they'll never figure it out." My stomach dropped. She was admitting to getting a promotion she didn't deserve. It was everything I had suspected, but hearing her say it out loud made it real. The woman who had stolen my job opportunity was lying and manipulating her way to the top. She had done it for years, pretending to be perfect, pretending to be the one everyone could count on. But in reality, she was taking shortcuts and getting away with it because no one questioned her. That's when the idea hit me. I needed to expose her, not just to our family or to the people who knew her, but to the very people she was trying to impress. I had to make sure they knew the truth about who she really was. But I wasn't going to jump in head first. No, I had to gather more evidence, something concrete, something that would make her look like the fraud she truly was. So, I began digging into her work. I asked around subtly, talked to people she worked with, and started looking into her recent projects. It didn't take long before I found something that made my heart race. She had been covering up some serious mistakes at work, mistakes that would cost her job if anyone found out. It was all neatly swept under the rug, just like everything else in her life. She had convinced everyone that she was a genius, a miracle worker. But the reality was, she was no better than the rest of us, just better at hiding her flaws. I took a deep breath. This was it. The pieces were falling into place. But I needed to be patient. I couldn't go too fast or too slow. She had to think she was still in control. It was time to get the ball rolling and set the stage for her downfall. Over the next few weeks, I began making small moves, getting people to notice things, getting them to ask questions. I knew she wouldn't see it coming. She had always been so sure of herself, so confident in her position. She never expected anyone to challenge her, especially not me. But as I watched her go about her daily routine, oblivious to what was happening around her, I realized just how much power I had. She was so wrapped up in herself, in her fake perfection, that she couldn't even see the storm brewing right in front of her. I was getting closer. The revenge I had been planning for so long was within reach, and the best part, she still had no idea. The day I'd been waiting for finally came. All the pieces I'd set in motion were ready, and it was time to pull the trigger. I had everything, every lie she'd told, every mistake she'd tried to cover up, every bit of evidence that would expose her as the fraud she truly was. It was the perfect setup, and I was about to make sure she'd never see it coming. The first step was to get her in front of the right people. I had already carefully planted seeds in the office, mentioning things here and there to the right colleagues, making sure they were paying attention to the cracks in her story. But I knew that wasn't enough. No, it wasn't about just a few people knowing the truth. It was about exposing her in front of the whole office, in front of everyone who had ever believed in her. I found my opening when she called a big meeting to celebrate her latest promotion. Everyone was gathered, clapping, smiling, pretending to be happy for her, unaware that I was about to bring everything crashing down. I wasn't going to just sit back and watch her bask in her fake glory anymore. It was time to expose her to the world, to show everyone who she really was. I stood up during the meeting, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel the eyes of the room on me, but I didn't flinch. I had come too far to turn back now. "I just want to say something," I said, my voice steady, but there was a fire burning inside me. The room went silent. My sister, sitting at the head of the table, shot me a look, but I ignored her. This wasn't her moment anymore, it was mine. You all know how much effort our colleague has put into her work, but what you don't know is how much effort she's put into hiding the truth. I let the words hang in the air for a moment, watching the confusion spread across the room. She stood up abruptly, trying to interrupt, but I wasn't having it. I continued, "I've been looking into her work, and I've found some serious issues. Mistakes she's tried to cover up, lies she's told to get ahead, and most importantly, how she's manipulated everyone into thinking she's the perfect employee." I could see the panic start to set in as the room began to murmur. My sister was speechless, her face turning a deep shade of red. But it wasn't enough. I wasn't done. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder I'd been carrying around for weeks. Evidence, printouts, emails, even the conversation I had overheard. "This is just the beginning," I said, opening the folder and letting the documents spill out on the table for everyone to see. As I revealed everything, I could see her crumble. She tried to defend herself, but her words were hollow, her arguments weak. She had no way to explain what I had laid out in front of her. The people in the room, her colleagues, her superiors, even her friends, were beginning to question everything she had ever said. The perfect image she had built for herself was shattering before her eyes, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. I could feel the power shifting. It wasn't just about exposing her lies anymore. It was about watching her lose everything. The promotion, the respect, the trust, gone. I could hear her pleading with her boss, trying to salvage whatever she could, but it was too late. They were already turning their backs on her. And then, as the final blow, I dropped the bombshell. "And one last thing," I said, watching her face go pale. "I know about your little scheme to steal the internship that was supposed to be mine. How you recommended your friend for the position, all while pretending to support me." Her eyes went wide as she realized that I had known about everything. She tried to backpedal, but the damage was already done. The room was silent. No one was looking at her the same way anymore. It felt surreal, watching her desperately try to save face, watching her reputation crumble. The moment I had dreamed of, the moment I had worked so hard for, had finally arrived. She had no idea what hit her. As the meeting ended, she was escorted out, humiliated and defeated. The once confident woman who had built her life on lies was now standing at the bottom, exposed for everyone to see. In the days that followed, things changed fast. I watched as my sister's world crumbled piece by piece. The people who once admired her, who saw her as the golden child, started questioning everything she had told them. Her colleagues no longer trusted her. Her boss, the one she had manipulated for years, quietly distanced himself. It was a complete and total downfall. I didn't feel sorry for her. Not even a little. She had made my life miserable for so long, and now I was watching her get exactly what she deserved. The most satisfying part was seeing how she tried to salvage the situation. She sent messages pleading with everyone for forgiveness, promising that she would make things right, but no one was listening anymore. They had seen the truth, and the truth couldn't be undone. At home, things were tense. My parents didn't know what to make of it all. They had always supported her, always defended her. I could tell they were uncomfortable, but they couldn't deny the facts. They didn't come out and say it, but I could see the disappointment in their eyes. They realized how much they had been blind to. They saw how she had used them and everyone around her to get ahead without a care for anyone else. But for me, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I was finally free from the toxic hold she had on me. I wasn't just living in her shadow anymore. I had taken back control, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was the one in the driver's seat. As for her, well, she was left to deal with the consequences. The promotion she had been so proud of was revoked, and her colleagues stopped speaking to her. She was left with nothing. No job, no friends, no support. The life she had carefully constructed from lies and manipulation had come crashing down, and there was no rebuilding it. I didn't feel bad for her. She had earned every bit of it. A few weeks later, I heard from a mutual friend that she was trying to find a new job, but no one would hire her. Word had spread about her dishonesty, and her reputation was shattered beyond repair. I guess no one wanted to work with someone who had built their career on lies. I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction every time I heard her name come up in conversation. It wasn't about gloating. It was about knowing that I had finally taken control of my life. I wasn't the one in the wrong here. She was. In the end, I didn't care what happened to her anymore. She had ruined my life for far too long, and I wasn't going to waste another minute thinking about her. She wasn't my problem anymore. And as for me, I was moving on. My career was starting to take off. I'd gotten an even better opportunity, one that my sister could never have dreamed of taking from me. I had worked hard for it, and now I was reaping the rewards. I had finally found the success and respect that had always seemed just out of my reach. It was mine now. No one could take it away. The last time I saw my sister, she was a shell of the person she once was. She had nothing left to say. She had no more lies to tell. And honestly, I didn't want to hear them anymore. I had won. I had taken back everything she had tried to take from me, and it felt damn good.